This one goes out to all my boys back home. We got a copper mine that runs 24 hours a day. Some real close friends of mine work there, shoveling dirt and getting paid. It's a city that was built in blood and sweat and hard work of our granddad's. They dug it a mile high and a mile deep, pass it on to us young lads. Well, I'm real damn proud to be where I come from. It's a big sky country in the land of the setting sun. And if you got a problem with that, I got something to say. I'm proud to be from Butte, America, USA.
We're in the reference department at the Butte Silver Bow Public Library, and some of you will recognize Steph. Hey Steph, how are you doing? Good. Steph is the librarian in charge of the reference area, and also she's our information manager as well too, and oversees the computers and the networks here at the library. So let's talk about Koha. I'm supposed to ask you, what do you like about Koha?
Well, the nicest thing for us has been the adaptability. We've been able to set up branches on our own. We've been able to install our own collection codes when we want something new that doesn't quite match what we've already got in place. And just being able to do that in a timely fashion without having to deal with outside developers has been a joy. Thanks. Yeah. We've got pickup at one of our local grocery stores. It's called Three Bears, Alaska. And we can check out the materials to patrons, list it as the pickup location, and then when the patron comes here looking for their book, we can tell them it's here, or it's at Three Bears, or it's wherever they ask to pick it up.
That's great. So you were mentioning something about Nicole Engard. What did she help you with?
Nicole! I have to say a big thanks. We've been doing an inventory, and in about 11 seconds she came back and answered my questions about how to create the report I needed for items not seen since. So thank you. Don't forget, Leo should be here.
That's right. I do owe her a beer. Actually, I owe a lot of people beers. So that kind of leads me just to ask you a quick question about how do you feel about the support that you get from the Koha community, you know, since we're an open source?
Oh, it's fantastic. Just the fact that we have an index where I can go and find out if anybody's asked this stupid question before. And it's also very comforting to find out somebody else usually has.
Is there anything else you love about Koha that we should know about before I go and victimize another librarian?
There's a lot of great things about Koha. But really the best part is having the control on our terms instead of having to work with a vendor all the time. So thanks again to everybody. I really appreciate it. I can't begin to tell you how sad I am I'm not there with you today. Have a good one.
All right. We're going to miss you too. Talk to you later, Steph. So, Linda, you're the circulation supervisor and librarian here at Butte Silver Bow and have been using Koha and even providing training for our staff. Can you tell me something that you love about Koha?
Well, I think what I like best is the reports, that you can download a report into Excel and then tweak it and manipulate it how you want it to turn out and add things, and that you can make your own reports, and whatever report you've had established, that you can change it later on and adjust it for dates or years or whatever.
One of the issues we've had has been about barcodes for the patron cards. Can you explain what the problem is with creating the patron barcodes?
It's the way they have it is not an easy search for a certain barcode. Like, you can't just type in the barcode that you want to put in and have it print out, or you can't even type in a name that you want to have printed out. It's a search thing, and it gives you by alphabet. So you have, if you're looking for Monroe, for instance, you have to go to the M's and then go through each and every M until you find Monroe. And it's very time consuming, and it's not at all efficient.
So you're not using Koha to print out your barcodes for your patrons, are you? Well, hopefully with the 3.2 upgrade, we're going to have that corrected. So,
Yeah,
and if we don't, we can let the developers in New Zealand know that that's something they need to work on, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Well, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Why is Koha great? Well, I think that it's great because it seems to be really flexible, and you can do a lot of things with it from a lot of different perspectives, and a lot of different positions, as a cataloger, as acquisitions, as a patron, as somebody like me that just uses it in a variety of flavors and ways. Yeah, so I like that.
So you know that Koha is open source, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think about open source?
It's the only way to go. It's the way of the future, man.
So do you think open source is kind of has the same philosophy as librarianship overall?
Oh yeah, the more you try to crank down on your content and lock it down, the more everybody loses. You lose, leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth, users, people, it's bad. It's no good. Open source is the way to be, first of all, because it's awesome. But secondly, because it encourages, first of all, use, I think, and then also everybody can improve on it, and it just creates kind of a brain pool. And I don't see why that's ever a bad thing. Yeah.
So one last question. You just recently started offering check out a museum, check out a theater, or check out a symphony, and you were able to set that up in Koha, right? So we can track that?
Oh, yeah. And we also added a URL link for folks to click on to go to the website for the theater, which was awesome. And that was so easy. Like, Diane did it and just did it, and it was done. And she had me test it, and we thought it was going to be a big deal, and it was like, all right, test it. Now's the time. Oh, it works.
Great. Thanks, Regan. We really appreciate you spending the time with us.
No problem.
I'm Nancy DeBerthy, Children's Librarian for Butte Silverbow, and my favorite thing about Koha is the image available feature. Many times I have small children that come in and run over to our Junie B. Jones section and can't always find the book they want, and they'll come back and tell me, Mrs. DeBerthy, you don't have Junie B. that I want. So I can get on my computer and type in Junie B. Jones and go through each one and ask them if they've read Junie B. Jones is a Beauty Shop Guy, and they say yes or no. And if they say no, I can show them that we do have it, but that it is currently out, and all they have to do is fill out a reserve, and we will call them when it comes in.
Do I have to be looking at it?
No, you are looking at it. So we're in technical services here at Butte Silverbow Public Library, and this is Diane Jopp. She's our technical services librarian, and she kind of has been my partner in crime with Koha. You know, Diane, do you remember what we did way back when?
Oh, yeah. All the experimenting.
That's true. Well, first we migrated from Winnebago, right? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about Winnebago
Well,
and your experiences with that Spectrum software?
I liked Spectrum. It only took us 6 years of getting ready to start using it before we did actually use it. And the nice thing about Koha is it was, what, 48 hours before we had it up and running. So,
Yeah, from the time we had it loaded and ready to go.
yeah. And so it was an easy thing, and it wasn't that hard to get used to either. You know.
As far as the record migration goes, how would you, in comparison, because you did the migration for the Winnebago Spectrum, how?
We didn't really migrate to Spectrum, though. It was the first time we were getting automated.
So is it,
you know,
in comparison to creating records in Spectrum and creating records and building the collection in Koha, how would you describe that?
I don't think there was that much difference. It was probably just as easy to, you know, get the records for both of them, because we did have OCLC, and we did have, at one time we were using one of our jobbers for the records, but we found that a lot of times their records weren't very good, because then I'd have trouble with a specific record for some reason, and I never did figure out what it was. You know, and I've never had that problem with Koha or OCLC.
Yeah.
So
So overall, how do you feel about using Koha now that's been 2 years that we've had the installation up and running?
I don't mind using Koha.
Is there anything you would like to tell the developers they need to address?
I think they have to address the foreign language, or the foreign marks on words from a different language, because they do not see them. And it's very difficult for some people, and especially the patrons. When they put in a name, they expect to see the name, and if it is a foreign name with some kind of an accent mark on any letter in the name, it does not come up, no matter what you do.
Huh, something I didn't know.
Yeah, and it's very difficult. And sometimes you have to do a little dance, actually, to find words that don't have any kind of marks in them, so that you can find the record online.
Well, we can definitely bring that up at KohaCon, because there'll be people there from all over the world, including France, and they have nothing but accent marks. So
That's right.
I'll see if I can get an answer to that for you.
That would be wonderful.
Okay, any last comments about Koha?
No, not really.
What about the acquisitions module? Are you looking forward?
That's one thing I'm looking forward to. I want some easy way that I don't have to look through 3 dozen lists, because that's all they want to do, is they want to give me a list. And you can't really check things with list. You get too confused. You know, if you have 6 lists and they're not in order, it's just unreal. Very
time consuming.
Very time consuming.
Well, hopefully when we move to 3.2 later this month, we'll see some acquisition module issues resolved for you. And then last but not least, I just want to ask you about, you've been using Koha to catalog museum passes and theater passes, and checking out equipment. How does that work? Pretty well?
It seems to work for us, you know. Of course, it's just on our, particular database and that, but it seems to work. We can check out equipment. We can check out passes. We haven't quite found out how the passes are working for the theater and that, but we'll see.
Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to us, Diane, and I will take your words to the conference with me and see if I can get some answers for you.
Thank you. I'd appreciate it.
Okay, why I love Koha is I am the digital collections librarian here at Butte Public Library, and I work with digitizing our material, and we were able to create an online branch for all our digital material to be discoverable. So if people are looking through the catalog, they can either look by title, or they can actually just click on a link for the online objects and just pull up a giant list of everything that we have and look through them. From there too, we take things and we put them on our Flickr page, and those have links back to the catalog, so that when people look at all these cool and interesting pictures on Flickr, then they're able to click on the link and go back to our catalog and then access the object itself, which is very awesome. The Montana Memory Project is the statewide website where we also, that's where the material is hosted, and so all of that kind of links together so that we have the catalog link that shows up, it goes to the Memory Project, it links back to Flickr, it's all sort of this big circle. So people can kind of jump into it any place that they want to along the way and find our stuff, which is very awesome.
So have you done any cataloging in Koha?
I have, actually. We have created some original records, and then we've also just done some copy cataloging too.
Great. I'm going to just take a peek at what you've been doing here on your screen in your scanner.
Well, right now I don't have anything up there. Right now I just started scanning this very cool book, which is called The Story of Willie Complain. And it's sort of a takeoff on the Mary McLean book that was written. This was put out in 1902. So it's very sort of goofy and weird, and only 4 other libraries in the world own this besides the Butte Public Library, and nobody has digitized it yet. So.
Excellent. Does it have any images or pictures in it, or is it just text?
It does not. It's text. It's just like small little text on the page, but it's actually quite hilarious, and he talks about his great horror of toothpicks. So.
All right. Well, I'm going to just take a look here at some of the things that you have organized for digitization. I can see that there are some things here that look like they're really old.
Yeah, there definitely are some very fragile things in here that people are not able to access unless we make a digital copy, because you can see that obviously some of these are not anything that you'd want a lot of people handling.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, Trish, and you're doing a great job creating our digital branch and our digital collection. Thanks.
Thank you.
I sound so bad.
How about you just wave and sign hello?
I'm Melanie Roberts. I'm the children's librarian in Livingston, Montana. I'd much rather be in New Zealand today with you guys. The thing I like about Koha the most when I'm doing children's programs, I can just type in the keyword that I'm looking for my searches and come up with all the books on teddy bears or all the books on raccoons, whatever I need for my children's programs, because every week I do a theme, and I usually run that same theme through all the different ages. So I'm able to pull up the books according to the age level of reading and also whatever theme I'm doing. Koha's been great at the library. It's just quick, fast. I can also use the advanced search for kids, helping them with their study projects. And I'd really rather be in New Zealand today. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Hi, I'm Scott Franze, and I'm a circulation clerk here at the Livingston Library. What I like particularly about Koha is that it is open source, and it provides a lot of resources for our little library that we could not afford with any other operating system.
And that's pretty much it, huh?
That's it.
Do you think your patrons like using the OPAC? Do they find it pretty easy to navigate?
No, I don't think. I don't know how much of this you want to put in there. The way that we have this set up is not particularly easy for local people. I think most of them are not computer savvy at all when they come in here. So we do a lot of help. We train them to use our system the way it works. We are getting more appreciation from people who want to log in from home and access their renew books and access their records and things like that.
Great, great. Well, I think that being able to access the catalog from home is a great asset. And we in Butte, what we do is we run classes just to teach people how to use the OPAC. So
that would be a good thing for us to do too.
Well, I really am happy that you took a moment to share your thoughts with us. You want to wave to the people in New Zealand?
My name is Blaine Fleming. I'm the network grunt, so to speak, at Livingston Public Library, Montana, here in the U.S. You know, I've worked with a lot of open and closed systems, and I gotta say, especially coming from Athena, from Sagebrush, I believe it is, Koha is just nice to have. It works. I mean, I use open source all the time. I use a lot of Windows products. I use everything. And for the most part, it requires very little maintenance, very little effort. It's amazing how smooth it is. And whenever we need a feature, it's nice to have a patch that someone's already put out, or about to put out for that matter. You know, I've looked at contributing a few, and most every time I have, there's been one already ready to go. My big issues with it, when it comes down to it, though, is there's so many patches, so many options, and I know merging the stuff in is insane, but I would love to see a more centralized repository for all the patches, for all the info, better documentation attached to it. So please, please make that happen.
We'll take that to the Hackfest with us. Thanks, Blaine.
Sure.
Hi, Milla.
Hi. How are you, Lee?
I'm good. Have a seat.
Thank you.
So here you are.
Yes.
How many more days left before we no longer have you as a resource?
Actually, I was officially done on Friday, but I'll be in for the next couple weeks trying to help Jennifer figure out what's what in my office, since I'm a person who doesn't label my files.
That's so unexpected from you. Well, I'm making this little video here for our friends in New Zealand and the people who are using Koha all over the world. And I was just wondering if you could tell me what it is you love about Koha as a librarian.
Well, I have some specific things that I love about Koha in terms of our library, and then some general things also. In terms of our library, Koha was just very simple to implement. We had been through a migration from one ILS to another 10 years before we implemented Koha, and that implementation was just a nightmare. The vendor we were moving to, a proprietary vendor of course, could not figure out where the stop digit was from the first vendor's software records, and they claimed they would be able to convert our patron records. Despite that, after 3 tries, our patron records were still entirely scrambled.
Oh,
and I had to just tell them, forget it, we will readjust all of these by hand. And we had to do 10,000 records by hand due to these proprietary issues of one vendor not being willing to speak to another. And so when our network manager, Blaine Fleming, started talking about open source and migrating to yet another catalog, I was very nervous about doing this. But Blaine was able to take our records and in a day and a half experiment with them, export all of our patron records to Koha, bring it back to me, and show me that they were all good extant records. And so from the time he and I first started talking about it until we went live with Koha took 8 days, as opposed to 3 months in our other migration and having it be faulty. So from our experience, you know, there's just been no comparison. But the other thing I really love about Koha is just the open source principle, because libraries are all about sharing information and about free and equal access to information. And it makes no sense to me that throughout the library world, most of our ILSs are proprietary, and that is not shared information. And what I appreciated is that if Blaine develops an application for us that's specific to our needs, that will then be available for any other library to use if it also meets their needs. And that seems to me to reflect what libraries are about.
Wow, thanks, Milla. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Great. You're welcome, Lee. Thank you.
Say hello to everybody in New Zealand.
Hello, Koha developers. We love you.
I'm proud to be from Butte, America.